What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. I have a special guest here.
The specialist.
This is my wife, Andrea, and the reason that she's jumping in here today is because we're going to answer a question that's came up, and you might have had the same question, and that is how to get my spouse on board when it comes to like personal development, but specifically like real estate investing. All right, I think this is something that we get asked all the time, and I feel like we have a good kind of answer to it because she was not always on board at all and kind of had to come around to it. And now she's like 100% all in entrepreneur. So we have 3 tips that we're going to give you guys. Looking forward to it.
Okay, tip number 1 we have is to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think it's easy for one of the spouses to be like, hey, like, let's go, let's invest in real estate, let's like buy these houses, and the other person's like, whoa. So you gotta like ease them into it. Start with like the mindset of it, the thinking, like, why are we investing in real estate? Passive income, creating more money, right? And so reading something that has to do with that, and it's going to make your wheels start turning and lead them easier into the process of real estate investing. We love Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We have seen so many friends and families where they like literally do a complete 180 after reading the book. It's awesome.
I love Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think it's one of the best books that like puts things in such a simple manner, because the other thing that's important to realize is that everybody comes from a different background, and like you grew up different, I grew up different, like our parents taught us different things, and so kind of like getting married and then navigating that you've been ingrained in your mind all growing up can be difficult. So, and
we're all ready to hear things at different times too. Like that's the thing, like you can be prepped where it doesn't feel scary, but to that your partner or someone else, they're not ready for that. And so it's like slowly easing in and listening and understanding that we're all coming from different places.
100%. So the second thing that we're going to kind of give you that's really helped us, and if you guys have followed us for a minute, you know that every single year we do something we call a couples goal setting workshop. And ultimately it's a time for us to get on the same page, to like life's crazy, especially if you have kids. It's just you're in the hustle and bustle. If you're both working jobs, it's wild. And so we set time aside every single year to like go to a destination. It can be a staycation not too far away from home, but we follow like a guide and an outline that prompts these questions that allow us to like, hey, this is important to me, like what's important to you, and really dive into that.
Yeah, I think like that's the coolest part is if you don't know where you want to go, then you're never going to go anywhere. And I think like in life, like looking at life, the one thing that I take the most pride in is looking at our life and being like, we created this because we chose to create it. And we chose to take these steps. And that doesn't happen without being intentional, right? And so that's where the goal setting retreat, like the workshop has come in handy, is like we sit down and we make a plan for the year. And then when we do our weekly check-ins with each other, we're always coming back to those things like, okay, are we following along? If we have big decisions, like, does that align with this? And it's also amazing to see like the goals you set for yourself, then you meet again the next year and you've already surpassed them, and it was like your 5-year goal. And I promise you it will happen. But if you're not paying attention to that and you're not intentionally trying to create anything, nothing will happen. What you're not changing, you're choosing. Choose what you want out of life.
Now you know why I married her. And if you guys are interested in like the guide that we kind of follow, we have
created
all these
it.
Questions.
Yes.
Yeah. So we used a few random ones, and like it was missing a lot, and so ultimately we just created our own. But you guys can get it if you want. It's free. You can download it
at couplesgoalsettingworkshop.com.
couplesgoalsettingworkshop.com.
And it is free. There's no like we're not trying to pitch you.
You can. But it's an awesome guide. That's like
it's dope.
We've loved. So we'll put the link below as well if you want to go and download it. Feel free to do that. And number 3, which is probably the most important kind of piece of advice that we would give you after going through this struggle, which was a struggle for years, is to focus on you. Yep. And you can probably talk about this better than I can, because you kind of like just kind of came around to it eventually, and everyone asks like, well, how did you like become like this entrepreneur? Andrea owns her own business. She's very involved in like, supportive and like, hey, let's build passive income through real estate, and she's house hacked, and we've dove into all these sacrifices that we've made because we've got on the same page, but it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, I think for me, it was like Brody used to, listen to the books, listen to the self-help, and I didn't want to hear it. It was annoying. And so it was just like slowly coming into that. Like Brody didn't let that stop him from still focusing on what he wanted to focus on. And I still had things I was doing at the time too. I was going to nursing school and was very focused on other things, like the very traditional route. But then like seeing Brody change, and then seeing like the first house we bought and the opportunities that was providing us. And I think honestly though, like what really made it happen is like when we decided what life we want to live 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, what life we want to create, what experiences we wanted to give our future children. At that time, like the only route that could actually get us there required certain things, and real estate for us was that route. And I think it can be for anyone, honestly. It allows us to have the freedom. We travel, we work together, we don't have 9-to-5 jobs, we can go and do whatever we want whenever we want. And so I think like sitting down and deciding like as a couple what you want out of life, and then breaking that down, and then realizing like, okay, if we actually want this, it's not just gonna magically appear because we want it. Like we have to take steps. And so that's how I slowly started to come around. And I think like from a partner's perspective, just being like patient and understanding that everyone comes at their own time. And we didn't jump into like the biggest house flips and all that stuff. And like we always chose things together. I'm like, I've raised kids with hard hats on, man. This is like the house we're living in now is the first house we've ever lived in and not remodeled. And it was a lot of really, really big sacrifices, living in remodels, the stress of it, the dust, the sound, the noise, people always in your house. But we both had a clear vision of like why we were doing it, and then it wasn't going to go on forever. And so it's easy because I already knew like it will end soon. And so it's like the same if I was to tell you to go run, and I just said, oh, keep running, I'll tell you when you can stop. Like people are going to stop way earlier. Whereas if I say go and run 26 miles and you get this, they're going to go run 26 miles because they know if they run 26 miles, they'll get that. So don't just be like mindlessly running. Yeah. Nobody wants to do that. You'll never go as far. Give yourself that destination and reward yourself along the way too.
And don't get discouraged. If your spouse isn't there, a lot of times people use that as an excuse to not do anything.
Yep.
Like there's a reason when like a wife gets pregnant and starts gaining weight, the husband, what happens? Like he starts gaining weight, right? And so it's just like, oh, she's doing that, so like I can do that, right? I can gain weight, and you just kind of lose it and you forget about it, you don't think about it. And so ultimately like focus on you, and it's okay like if they're not there yet. You taking your foot off the gas isn't going to do any good at all. Yeah. You still have to be the best version of you.
You can still research and learn, so that way when the time comes, whatever that time is, where you both feel ready to dive in, like you're ready to go and you have all the knowledge and the tools to get you there.
Go get it.